everyone. My name is Tiffany Burnett. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Class Research, and I am very excited today to be joined by our new Class President, Steve Lowe. Steve, thanks for being here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We just have a few questions, and we're hopeful that we can get to know you a little bit better. So maybe let's start off by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history and your career experience.
Sure. You know, I have kind of two elements of my background that I hope will be really helpful to leadership of Class. The first is an experience in healthcare technology. So I started my career doing consulting for healthcare delivery organizations, helping them really understand how to utilize and effectively implement their technology platforms. So that was interesting. You know, this was when I was out of college working for Deloitte & Touche. Since then, I've also found myself working consistently in places where there's a real need for transparency and trust in bridging relationships. So whether it was as an auditor, where I was really functioning as the voice of a third-party assessment and bringing an honest perspective to an important relationship, or also as being the person that mediates a high-stakes relationship. So I also spent a number of years in financial services, and it was always a challenge making sure that everybody was living up to their obligations, that we could bring harmony to a tough relationship. And when I look at what Class does and what Class needs, I think, you know, understanding healthcare is critically important, but as our role at Class, as that arbiter of truth, as an independent, unbiased voice, I relish the opportunity to be in the middle of those relationships and what Class can do there.
Class is certainly very lucky to have someone with the experience that you bring to the table at our helm. It's needed, and I think, you know, as we look to the future of Class, we can certainly look back to our history and know that we're headed in the right direction. So the next question I have is about your leadership philosophy. How do you plan to apply that philosophy? First of all, what is it? And then how do you plan to apply that philosophy to the leadership position here at Class?
I think a leader has to do three things well. And I'll tell you what those three things I believe they are, and then also how I think they need to be manifest at Class, because Class is a unique place. It's a special place. And the three things that I believe are core to being a positive leader are to guide, empower, and inspire. And what I mean by that, when I say guide, it's about setting the right direction and being able to help everybody see the path that we need to be on together. When it comes to empowering, and this is one of the things I love so much about Class, we have a wealth of intelligence, talent, energy for improving healthcare. I think one of the best things I can do as a leader here is to set things up and then get out of the way. We have talented teams, super talented teams, and what they need is the support and the empowerment to be able to deliver on the vision that we share for healthcare. The last thing, as I mentioned, is inspire, and that's an interesting one because I don't mean big rah-rah speeches, although every now and then you need to do that. I think that's inspiring is more about making sure that we are aligned on a vision. And you know, as I look at those three things, to guide, empower, and inspire, one of the things that drew me to Class was just this incredible clarity of mission, an incredible team, and it means that those three things can happen naturally and effectively. So I'm excited to do those three things here.
You mentioned a talented team, and internally, we know that culture is very important to Class. And so maybe help us understand what you plan to do to continue to foster that positive culture and that healthy culture that we have, you know, had in the past and we want to continue.
I love the core values that we espouse at Class, and you know they're stated explicitly. The one that I think, and they're all important, the one that I keep coming back to that I think is critical to our ability to preserve that culture you mentioned is humility. I think we have the need to constantly be okay with not knowing all the answers, because that drives us to get those answers. Everything we do by way of research and increasing the impact we have has to be driven by humility and an understanding that we need to learn more, we need to share more. The other thing that when I think about what I need to do as a leader to make sure that culture remains strong, I think there are key moments where what we believe, our values and our culture, are truly manifest. And it's those moments of high stress, right? It's when we miss a financial target. It's what do we do when we come under intense pressure, when we're faced with a really hard decision, when we've missed a goal. The way that we respond to those and the ability to stick to our values, I think those are key moments where class will need everybody and me to stick to these values and say, okay, when times get tough, we're still going to remain by our principles of accountability and accuracy and humility and be willing to say, we've got more to do, we've got more to learn.
When we think about who class is in the marketplace, being independent has been something that has been critically important to who we are as an organization and the very fabric of what makes us class. I'm curious if you can talk a little bit about independence and what it means for class to continue to remain independent in the marketplace.
I don't think I could overstate the importance of that independence in the marketplace. If you look at our history, we've done a good job, a great job of maintaining that independence, and the impact we're seeking to have and the traction we have as a voice in the marketplace cannot exist without our independence, both real and perceived. So when you look at the way that we will continue to grow our business and seek to have an impact, it will always reside on this foundation of independence. I think that there are two ways that we stay safe, that we remain independent, that we remain unbiased. And I think the first has to do with our culture. It's how do we remind ourselves and make those tough decisions, as I mentioned, when push comes to shove, that we're going to tell the truth, that we're going to report accurately, regardless of what's in the best interest of a particular vendor, regardless of what's in our best interest, we're going to tell the true story, the accurate story. The other part that I think we have to constantly keep at the focus of how we operate and constantly improve on is how we organize as a company. So if you look at how we conduct research and how we structure ourselves, there are things we do already and things that we can do even better to even improve the ability to ferret out any bias, make sure it doesn't creep into our reporting. The thing that comes to mind right now is we're currently setting up an even more robust research QA team. You know, investing heavily in the ability to say, we're going to get more eyes and ears on the real rubber meets the road research we do to ensure that every time we're talking with a provider, collecting that information, we're doing it as best we can.
You know, when we look back on the history of the last even 20 years in healthcare, there's just been so much change, right? Everything from a digital age that we didn't experience 20 years ago. As of today, what do you see as the biggest challenges in the healthcare industry right now, and how do you see class helping to address those?
I think it's about focus. I think one of the biggest challenges that healthcare executives face is how do they dedicate very finite resources to the things that will have the greatest impact on patient care. The technologies available right now can do so many incredible things. We're no longer battling with, can this be done with software, with hardware, with tools available. It's more about where should, if I'm a hospital administrator, where should I be focusing my resources? Because there's more out there than I can implement, than I can support. How we at Class can help that is really shining the light, and this is what we've always done, shining the light on who's really making a difference and performing well. I think the work we're doing right now and really ramping up in the last couple of years in emerging technologies and solutions helps with this. If we can shine a light on what is coming out that is really having a big impact, then that's going to help our healthcare organizations have a better idea and take some of the risk out of when they go to spend those precious dollars they have for technology, that they have more confidence they're going to get a good return on that. It's going to have a positive impact on patient care, on their financial performance, and the work we do can help them get that confidence, lower the risk, and really understand how they can have a biggest impact.
If you could think forward here in the next 3 to 5 years, what would you say is the top strategic priority for Class?
It's about evolution in the insights we offer. So if you look at the trajectory backwards, it's one of, we've been a spotlight, we've shared kind of what's going on, and we need to move from that of saying, here's what's going on, here's who's delivering, to helping organizations succeed with technology. So the next chapter of Class's, story, the next part of our evolution and how we can have more impact is helping all those individuals, all those stakeholders who work with healthcare technology to be more effective with it. So these discussions are much more strategic. This is no longer a conversation saying, you know, here's how your customers rate you on implementations. It's a conversation with a vendor about what are you doing strategically to improve your implementations? What are the best practices that you might be missing out on that we see other vendors are successful with? And it's not just vendors. We're working through the Arch Collaborative with providers to say, you know, how can we be more of a partner with you? So we're not just telling you about this technology. We're saying, here are the steps you can take to be successful with it. And I think that's where the impact we seek to have at KLAS goes in the coming 3 to 5 years. To get there relies on our ability to really get even deeper and have a team that understands the nuances of every space we measure, so that when we come to the table, we're partnering with these healthcare stakeholders in a way that we speak their language. We understand every little thing that's happened as their space has evolved. And not only that, but we have to be able to see the future of the space just like they do.
So we know that every president of a company has a life outside of their organization's walls. So tell us a little bit about the Steve outside of work. What makes you tick? Tell us about the things that excite you and get you up in the morning in life in general, outside of work.
I'm glad you used the word outside, because outside is what stokes my fire. When I'm not at KLAS, I want to be outside as much as possible. So I ski, I bike, and if I can do those things with my children. I have 4 kids, and so much of what I seek to do is get them outside with me. So, you know, whether it's hiking or riding bicycles together. The other thing that kind of, some people might not know about me is I'm a cellist. So I grew up playing stringed instruments. I started when I was 5. I had a mother who was very supportive and dedicated to keeping me on a musical track. So to this day, I love to practice, perform, and listen to classical music. Now, before you think I'm too much of a nerd, I also love rock music, whether it's, you know, classic, punk, grunge, you name it. I love music. I love playing it. I love, you know, soaking it up.
Very good. Those of us who have had an opportunity to work with you at KLAS are very excited about our future and about your leadership. So I kind of want to turn that around a bit and say, what excites you about this new role and about working with the team here at KLAS?
When I interviewed with KLAS, so it was actually almost 2 years ago when I first was introduced. I met the owners, and I was struck immediately with the energy and the talent that was here. I've you know, as a consultant, I've seen lots of companies, and I've kind of lived the culture of many places, and KLAS is special. It really is. Like this, there is something special about the culture here, about the talent, and about the humility. I've never met a group of people that are so energized and intelligent and also humble. It's rare. So what excites me is the fact that we know where we're going. This company knows the impact it's trying to have. We have a clarity of vision, and we have the talent to make it happen. I'm excited to be in a position to help guide us there. And I think that, you know, taking over as president, it's a daunting task, but it's also not something that scares me because of the strength of the team here. I think that the future is incredibly bright at KLAS, and I'm just humbled and grateful to be a part of it.
Well, Steve, thank you so much for taking the time with me today. It was great to get to know you a little bit better, and I think I speak on behalf of all of our classmates that we are very excited, and we look to the future with great excitement.
Thank you.